I write this as a lament from my own weary heart, a confession that drips with the bitterness of promises broken at International Black Sea University Tbilisi. I arrived with the bright hope of a young girl from a former Soviet land, clutching a suitcase of expectations and a mind sharpened by literature. My family is of wealth and influence, and I have always believed that my status would shield me from folly. Yet the university proved to be a mire of neglect, a theater of chaos that crushed my spirit. From the moment I stepped onto the campus, the first sign of trouble was the website. It flickered like a dying candle, displaying outdated schedules that never matched the real class times. When I attempted to log in to view my timetable, the pages loaded in fragments, colors clashing, links leading to nowhere. A website that cannot provide reliable information makes a student feel lost, because one cannot plan a day without knowing when a lecture begins. The loss of schedule creates anxiety, leads to missed classes, and erodes trust in the institution. The telephone hotline, which should be a lifeline for confused newcomers, rang endlessly without answer. I called many times, each ring echoing my growing frustration. When a voice finally answered, it was hurried, uninterested, and offered no solution. A hotline that does not respond leaves students without support, forcing them to wander the administrative maze alone. This isolation breeds helplessness and deep disappointment. The administration itself seemed to be a phantom. I presented a concern about the tuition payment plan for the first year, an amount of 4,000 in local currency that must be paid in installments. No clear option was offered. Instead, the staff suggested I plan everything in their own way, a vague phrase that meant I would be left to guess deadlines and amounts. When payment dates are unclear, a student may miss a deadline, incur late fees, and suffer financial stress. The stress then distracts from study, reduces academic performance, and damages mental health. My lectures were a parade of emptiness. Professors arrived late, some never arrived at all. On several occasions, the classroom remained silent while the professor waited outside, perhaps for a coffee, and the scheduled lecture was cancelled without an email notification. The cancellation of a lecture without notice deprives the student of learning time, forces them to reschedule personal commitments, and signals a lack of respect for their time. When educators do not show up, the entire educational purpose crumbles. When a professor did appear, the quality of instruction was below the ground. I asked a simple question about a fundamental concept in architecture, and the response was a bewildered "I do not know, I do not remember." A teacher who cannot answer a basic query reveals a profound lack of preparation. This not only halts the learning process, but also erodes confidence in the curriculum. Students begin to doubt the value of their degree, fearing that future employers will see the same incompetence. The campus environment itself reflected decay. The buildings were run down, the paint peeling, the windows dusty. Hallways smelled faintly of damp mildew, a smell that lingered in the lungs and made breathing uncomfortable. The dormitories were described by others as small, dirty, and poorly maintained. Living in such conditions diminishes the sense of safety, leads to illness, and turns the university into a place one wishes to escape rather than a home of knowledge. Foreign students suffered a particular cruelty. I observed classmates from distant lands who arrived with hopes of an international atmosphere, only to find a local focus that ignored their needs. The staff offered no assistance in language matters, and the English sector was described by many as having the lowest English level. When an institution claims to be international but fails to support non-native speakers, though,
Students feel excluded, isolated, and undervalued. This exclusion reduces cultural exchange, the very promise of an international university. Every attempt to raise a concern was met with silence. I wrote an email about unqualified lecturers, another about the chaotic schedule, yet no reply arrived. The lack of response is a form of dismissal. It tells the student that their voice does not matter. When voices are ignored, resentment builds, and the institution loses its moral authority. The feeling of being unheard is a wound that deepens with each unanswered plea. The financial burden was compounded by a sense of being scammed. Tuition felt like a black hole, disappearing into an abyss of endless fees and hidden costs. No transparent breakdown was provided. When money is taken without clear justification, trust evaporates, and the student questions whether the education is worth the investment. This financial anxiety gnaws at the mind, making it impossible to focus on studies. All these failings are not isolated incidents, they are symptoms of a deeper rot. Poor management.
Businesses near International Black Sea University Tbilisi, they can be tricky, especially for tourists who just come for short time. I look into this, and it is sad, why people do this. First, clubs here, oh my god. There was this thing with Kalikuri and Royal Club. Promo girls, they message tourists on social media hey, let us meet at club, it will be fun. But then, when tourists go, these girls order so much food and drinks, and guess what? The bill comes, and it is crazy high, thousands. And if tourist says no, bouncers come, scary guys, they pressure them to pay. 6 tourists lost so much money. The owner got prison, but those tourists probably left Georgia feeling so bad, They came for fun, not for this. Then, Scarpa Bar, oh no. A Chinese tourist, he was unconscious, and they charged his credit card for 15,000. Can you believe? How? He was not even awake. The owner and waiter got in trouble, but that tourist, he probably woke up and saw his bank account empty. How do you even explain that to your family? Restaurants too, not all but some. Police arrested people at one place because they made fake scheme just for tourists. Why? Tourists just want to eat, not get tricked. The manager and worker planned it, but how do you trust any place after that? And travel companies, oh no. Smile Travel Georgia took money from so many people for trips, then just disappeared. Almost 200 clients, 1 million lari gone. Tourists probably saved for this trip and then nothing. No trip, no money. How do you even go home and say that? It is sad, International Black Sea University Tbilisi area. It is nice, but some people here, they see tourists and think easy money. But tourists just want to enjoy, not be scared.